Right. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll start the Huddersfield subcommittee. Item 1, membership of the subcommittee. I've got apologies from Councillor McGuinn, Sarwar and Uppal. Item 2, minutes of previous meeting. Would you like to propose that? Seconded, Councillor Uller. All in favour, please show. Thank you. Declarations of interest and lobbying. I'll start with Councillor Armour.
None, sir. Thank you.
Councillor Homewood.
Chair, just had an email on the application on page 9, the public footpath, in support of the modification from Stephen Hill.
Thank you. Councillor Sokol.
Yes, Chair, I got a email on same application on page 9. I forgot the name. Who sent me the email? Sorry. I did not take any action.
Yeah, we'll move on, Councillor Sokol. Yeah, Councillor Ola.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Same as Councillor Homewood and Sokol on page 9, the public footpath. Thank you.
Councillor Richards. Councillor Richards, any?
Is it me?
It is.
All right, sorry. Surname is Lee Richards. That's why I wasn't answering.
All right. Right.
I've received the same email from Stephen Hill.
Thank you. Councillor Marchington.
Yeah, same email as the other members of the panel, the committee.
Councillor Bellamy.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, same email. That's it.
Councillor Davies.
Yeah, the same one from the Open Spaces Society, same email.
Councillor Smith.
Yes, same email, Chair.
And likewise for myself. Right. Admission to the public. No, we're not doing with that. Deputations and petitions.
None received, Chair.
No. So we move on then to the application, item 6, the Wolfstones Heights Farm Netherthong.
I think it's Phil Champion. He'll be
Phil Champion.
Yeah.
Right. You see.
He's going to share his screen.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair. For those who don't know me, my name is Phil Champion. I'm one of the council's definitive map officers. My remit is to manage the legal record of public rights of way known as the definitive map and statement, held under Section 53 of the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981. This includes investigation of formal applications for definitive map modification orders. Before I get started, perhaps I should just say we had a late submission that came into me this morning from one of the objectors at informal consultation stage, and asked if I could make it known to the committee that submission had come in. I don't think there's anything additional in terms of evidence in there that's not already been considered. Yes, so this agenda item is the determination of an application for a DMMO to vary the particulars currently recorded in the map and statement for part of footpath Holmfirth 60 at Wolfstones Heights Farm, Netherthong. The width is currently recorded in the statement as approximately 1.2 metres or 4 feet. The application made is to increase the recorded width to between 3 and 4 metres. That's effectively the full width between physical boundaries such as walls or fences that currently existed or had previously existed. The part of footpath 60 in question starts at Wolfstones Road at point A on the plan on screen. Can everyone see the plan okay?
I was going to say, Phil, I've certainly not got anything up on my screen. I don't know about anybody else.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Well, it's just me then. Carry on.
Yeah, if you have the reports in front of you, I am presenting.
I have them. It's fine. You carry on. Not a problem.
It's in those documents as well, in Appendix B, or possibly the plan that was made available separately. Where was I? Oh yes, a description of the route. So route commences at point A on Woolstones Road and follows a surface driveway in an easterly direction towards Woolstones Heights Farm. After passing the house and the domestic curtilage of the property, the route continues as a grass surfaced enclosed track to a stile at point E, where it crosses over the wall and enters other land. More historically, the route has been an enclosed farm access road from point A to point B, effectively shown in the same form on all maps since the 1820s. The route historically continued as a field edge footpath on towards Neverfong. More recently, section B to E, which is effectively the eastern part of the route after you pass the house, has become an enclosed track. Part of that was from B to D was shown in this manner in the map from the early 1960s, and the final part, section D to E, is shown as fully enclosed on all photographs, aerial photographs from 2000 onwards. Section B to E is largely bounded on the southern side by post and rail fencing, with dry stone walling to the north side, although some of that's more recently been removed. Path 60 was recorded in the first definitive map, which was developed in the 1950s, as being approximately 4 feet wide along its whole length. That's notwithstanding that part of the route, i.e. the driveway section from A to B, clearly ran along a vehicle width farm access road or driveway. Around 6th of September 2020, fencing was erected within the driveway section between point A and the house at point A3 on the plan, reducing the part available for use by the public to a strip approximately 1.2 metres wide running along the north side. That action is considered to have brought any unrecorded right over the greater width into question. Just to note, the existence of a public footpath itself along the route is not in doubt. The dispute principally relates to the width and the exact position on the ground of that public right-of-way. I did visit the site again on Monday this week, and I found that the fencing that had been erected last September, so as to narrow the available width, has been removed, along with gates that were erected in the vicinity of point A3 near the house. Moving on to sort of the evidence in this case, the application itself was supported by 14 user evidence forms, which described use by the public since the 1960s of greater widths than the approximately 1.2 metres currently recorded in the statement. So typically widths of 3 to 4 metres or similar widths given in feet. This is consistent with the full width between the physical boundaries. These vary slightly along the length of the route. The user evidence forms also include evidence regarding the presence or absence of stiles, gates, and other structures during the period of claimed use. The application was also accompanied by a limited quantity of documentary evidence, including an extract from the enclosure map of 1826 and the walking schedule prepared as part of the original survey of public rights of way carried out in the 1950s. We also received a copy of a notice served on the council by Peak and Northern Footpaths Society in December 2018, relating to an obstruction being electric gates at point A, which had been observed to be closed at dusk. The applicant has also supplied copies of other documents, including correspondence between various interested parties about the electric gates at point A, covering the period from 2018 to 2020, and also a letter from the Parish Council from 2000. Officers have also considered other available documentary evidence, including various maps, other documents relating to the development and the review of the definitive map, and available photographs and aerial photographs taken between 2000 and 2020. We carried out an informal consultation exercise in autumn 2020. That resulted in the receipt of additional evidence from people who had used the way, and also from people who objected to the application and claimed that part of the width of the route hadn't been available for various reasons, such as various things being stored or deposits placed along the line of the route, particularly on its southern side. This included building materials, scaffolding and vehicles on the driveway section, and vehicles, trailers and farming equipment of various types along the continuation to point E. Evidence was also received regarding the presence or absence of various structures such as gates or stiles, including the electric gates and a stile alongside, and structures in the vicinity of point B. It was claimed by the objectors that a 1.2 metre wide strip along the northernmost side was always available, but the southern side was not. These accounts have not been generally supported by the available photographic evidence since 2000 and by user evidence that we've received, which suggests that the whole width of the route has generally been available and used. It is evident that some building works have taken place, in particular the reconstruction following a fire of the part of the house abutting the southern side of the driveway. That might have temporarily impacted on the use of the full width of the driveway somewhere in the period of 2014 to 2017. However, such building work would not have constituted an interruption of enjoyment of public use of the way and would not have been with the intention of preventing acquisition of public rights over the whole width of the route, should rights already not exist. When I visited the site on Monday this week, I did note that a mobile catering trailer and a silage or haylage bale had been positioned on the southern side of the route near point B1, which is on sort of the grass track section. However, no photographs or aerial photographs that we have available to us taken since 2000 show any such items being stored on that section. This is at odds with the assertion made by the objectors, including the objector who had contacted me this morning. There's a detailed analysis of all the evidence that we've discovered found in the discussion of evidence document at item 1 in Appendix A to the published report. Appendix A also includes summaries of significant aspects of the user evidence and additional comments and evidence received in response to the consultation. If I may move on to the legal requirements. Section 56 of the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981 provides that a definitive map and statement shall be conclusive evidence as to the particulars contained therein. Where the map is conclusive evidence as at any date of the existence of the highway, any particulars contained in the statement as to the position or width thereof at that date, and any particulars so contained as to limitations or conditions affecting the public right-of-way, shall be conclusive evidence that at the said date, the said right was subject to those limitations or conditions. However, this is without prejudice to any question whether the right was subject to any other limitations or conditions at that date. There is no doubt as to the existence at the relevant date of the current definitive map, that's 1985, of a public footpath of a width of approximately 1.2 metres or 4 feet within the general corridor depicted by the line marked on the definitive map. The public right-of-way was recorded subject to various limitations and conditions as described in the statement. However, that does not preclude the actual width of the public right-of-way being of greater width than that recorded in the statement, and that existed at the relevant date of 1985 or the relevant date of the first definitive map and statement of 1952. It is also possible that even if the evidence does show that the public rights were historically confined to a width of approximately 1.2 metres or 4 feet, public rights may have been dedicated over a greater width by virtue of presumed dedication under Section 31 of the Highways Act 1980. That's use of a way by the public as of right for a full period of 20 years, or through dedication of a public right of way at common law. The 20-year period to be considered under Section 31 is from September 2000 to September 2020, when the part of the width of the driveway was fenced off and the right brought into question. Attention must also be given to limitations and conditions, e.g. gates and styles, etc., depicted in the definitive map and statement. If structures have been absent over a qualifying period, a public right-of-way might have been dedicated or rededicated without such limitations. If a public right-of-way runs between walls or fences, there is also a legal presumption that the whole area between these has been dedicated to the public, provided the fences were laid out with reference to the highway. Members are asked to consider the report, the available evidence for and against the application to vary the recorded particulars, and the detailed discussion of evidence found at item 1 in Appendix A to the report, and decide what order, if any, to make. The Council should, by order, make such modifications to the definitive map and statement as appear to them to be requisite in consequence of the occurrence of any of several events described in Section 53 of the 1981 Act. Members must consider whether or not the evidence shows, on balance, that at the relevant dates of the current or first definitive maps and statements, Path Holmfirth 60 was of a greater width than approximately 1.2 metres or 4 feet, or rather the section of Path 60 that we're concerned with. Members should also consider whether or not a public right-of-way has been dedicated over a greater width than approximately 1.2 metres. Members are also requested to consider whether there has been dedication or rededication without the various limitations or conditions that are currently described in the statement. Members are advised that if a definitive map modification order is made, which then attracts objections which are not subsequently withdrawn, the Council would be obliged to forward it to the Secretary of State for determination. However, the likelihood or otherwise of an order attracting opposition should form no part of the decision. Moving on to conclusions regarding the evidence. There are detailed conclusions found in the discussion of evidence documents, particularly at paragraphs 3.1 to 3.22. In summary, it's considered that the evidence is sufficient to conclude that part of public footpath Holmfirth 60, shown as A to E on the plan, is of greater width than approximately 1.2 metres or 4 feet recorded in the statement. Further, that there is sufficient evidence to conclude that, on balance of probabilities, a public right-of-way on foot with a width of 3 to 4 metres between points A and E has been deemed to have been dedicated or rededicated under Section 31 of the Highways Act or dedicated at common law, subject only to limitations of a 1.2 metre gap alongside a gate at point B. Officers recommend that members choose option 1 at paragraph 2.15 in the report, that the Council should make a definitive map modification order to vary the particulars recorded in the map and statement in respect of the recorded width, with the addition and removal from the statement of various limitations. Those described at paragraph 2.15 are that an order should be made particulars for footpath Holmfirth 60 to record the width for length A to E, varying between 3 and 4 metres between the physical boundaries, with removal of reference to 2 styles at points B and C and the wicket gate at point D, and inclusion as limitation a 1.2 metre gap alongside the gate at point B. Officers also recommend that, should the order be opposed and the matter referred to the Secretary of State, the Council should actively support the confirmation of the order at any public inquiry or hearing. That completes my presentation on this matter, Chair. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No, I think that's been quite definitive. Thank you very much. We'll go now, Richard, on to the
Speakers.
The three speakers.
Yep.
And we'll start with, I'm looking, Mr. Noel Scanlon. When during your 3 minutes, or if you try and go above.
Noted, Chair. Incidentally, your meeting doesn't appear to be streaming online, but I know that's separate. Right, I'll begin. I'm instructed by the main landowner affected by the application, and in the short time that I have, I want to talk about what's actually really going on here. Members, this application is nonsense. Despite approaches, we've been prevented from seeing the alleged user evidence form submitted. An accused generally needs to know what they're actually accused of. You've heard that there's no way that the southernmost side of the land has been left open for the public to pass, and very simply because it's not the legal footpath. The footpath, as identified on your definitive map and statement, which is decades old, clearly states 4 feet in width. Are you seriously going to say that the definitive map, your primary go-to legal authority governing footpaths in your area, is wrong on the back of this ridiculous application? Were I one of your constituents living near a footpath, I'd be very fearful of this, because the council could just discard the primacy of the definitive map and just take somebody's garden or driveway away from them. Committee, this is North Korea stuff. Were that southernmost side of the land part of the legal footpath, then respectfully officers would have taken action to remove obstructions decades ago, or worse still, even prosecuted the landowner. They haven't taken any such actions because it's not the legal footpath. It never has been, and officers' lack of action in this respect actually goes to prove that. It's not in your reporting, but so far as the gates are concerned on Woolstones Road, we have correspondence in writing. I'm going to say that again, in writing, from one of your corporate directors, allowing on behalf of the council that gate to be closed. Mr. Champion's report masks what this really is. It's a desperate application from a certain type of people, which is to do with nothing other than muddying the waters on a separate diversion application to the Secretary of State.
Yeah, no. Could you just slow down a bit, because some members aren't quite catching what you're saying.
I'm sorry, Chair. I didn't hear that. I am sorry.
Can you just slow down? You seem to be going rather quickly, and one or two of our committee members are not catching what you're actually saying.
I shall try and do that. I'll start again with the last sentence.
I'll allow you a few more seconds.
Chair, I can't hear you. I hope you can hear me. I'm just going to continue in the hope that you can. Mr. Champion's report masks what this really is. It's a desperate application from a certain type of people, which is to do with nothing other than muddying the waters on a separate diversion application to the Secretary of State. Your officers have brought this application forward from 112th in the priority list right to the front of the queue. Now, allegations of so-called cronyism and corruption have been right in the news recently, and let's remind ourselves...
30 seconds, you've 30 seconds left.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Chair, I am sorry.
You have 30 seconds left.
Surely I'm allowed further time on the back
I've given you further time. I've given you further time.
Thank you. Allegations of so-called cronyism. This application is to all intents and purposes made by an ex-employee of the council that used to work with long-standing officers in the council's rights of way section. And I accept that this may be purely coincidental and there may well be nothing untoward in this. But as you will know from your own training members, as so often with matters of probity, it's not what it is, but what it looks like. It doesn't look right, it doesn't smell right. And were you to accept the officer recommendation, you'll potentially be moving that awkward perception from officer to political level.
Thank you, your time is up. Your time is up now, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Chair, through you, there does appear to be a problem with this streaming. Have we got any confirmation? Because I've checked as well and I can't see it. So with your permission, can I suggest that we adjourn for 5 minutes whilst we just clarify the technical, because we do need to be shown live.
Right, yes.
Okay, members, so we're going to have a 5-minute break whilst we just investigate whether this meeting is actually being currently streamed live, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Continue now, and we get our second speaker, Greg Cropper.
Okay, so now.
Right, Greg, just to emphasise the fact, 3 minutes, that's all I will allow you. At 2.5 minutes, I will give you 30 seconds. And once that time is up, you'll be cut off. Thank you. Start when you... Are you ready to start?
Good afternoon. I'm ready now.
Right.
I'll start now.
Yes.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Greg Cropper. I'm a local resident. I used to sit on the Home Valley Parish Council. I was chair of the Home Valley Land Charity for a time, and I know this area very well. I've been involved in footpath matters myself. I have used that footpath for 30 years. The southernmost side is certainly not a footpath. It never has been. There is no truth in this whatsoever, and I feel obliged to correct what has been said. It's simply not true. The footpath is a strip of land 4 feet wide on the left-hand side of the drive as you walk down from Moorstone Heights. This is the same until it hits Mr. Roebuck style in a wall down towards Netherthong. I've parked vehicles, erected scaffolding, stored material on the right-hand side of the drive for many years. Indeed, I built the wall on the right-hand side of the driveway, which necessitated me building a platform along the entire length of the driveway. I erected scaffolding to repair the house when it was burnt down. If the footpath was a full width of the driveway, then I would have been blocking the footpath. And Mr. and Mrs. Butterfield have always been, in fairness, keen to make sure that we don't do that. I have received no complaints from walkers, nor council officers, merely compliments on the quality of our work. Historically, and even now, there may be items on the lower part of the southernmost part of the land, like tractors, horse troughs, big feed buckets for the horses, hay bales, trailers, parked vehicles, etc. But that kind of farm paraphernalia is always there, and it's always been moved as and when. I think it's the case even now. Never has a legitimate footpath been blocked, and in the very best of my knowledge, in 30 years of use. This seems to be an attempt to muddy the waters on an application to reroute the footpath. It has no validity and does not reflect the opinion of most walkers who require nothing other than the regulation 4 foot, despite these loud minorities who are shouting about it now. Moreover, if you were to approve this application, the precedent would be set to widen every single footpath that shares some of its length with a driveway. That is a very, very chilling thought. This would cause untold conflict and anxiety. Please don't allow this to happen. Your constituents would not want that to happen. The application to widen the footpath is without validity and has no positive gain for the walkers. It's a personal attack on the owner of the driveway and a vexatious attempt to play silly buggers. It is costing the council taxpayer significant amounts of money. Please reject this matter and allow people to continue their lives in peace. Thanks for listening. Please hope, I do hope you make the right decision.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. And finally, Andy Leader.
Andy Leader, yeah.
Andy, you'll no doubt be know the score with the 3 minutes as you've appeared before me before. But after 2.5 minutes, I'll give you the 30 seconds, and then once the time is up, you'll be cut off. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. It's Andy Leader, Eastern Northern.
You sound.
Hello.
No, we can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello. Hello.
Yes, that's it. That's better.
You got me.
Can we allow that extra?
Yeah. Andy Leader, Eastern Northern. Footpath.
No, you've gone again.
Have I? I'm speaking in support of the officer recommendation, i.e. that Kirklees make an order to reflect the true width of the path used by members of the public home for footpath 60, and that the council seeks confirmation of the order. Pekin Northern were contacted by members of the public last year reporting the narrowing of footpath 60 on the ground from 3 to 4 metres, which was used, to 1.2 metres. The 1.2 metres was fenced in, and it made this popular path very difficult to use, and a lot of people were concerned about social distancing during the pandemic. We collected 14 user evidence statements from a range of path users dating back to the 1960s, and Kirklees' investigation added a further 11 statements, which all strongly supported a use width of 3 to 4 metres on the ground. In addition, there's strong supporting documentary evidence showing the greater width of the path. The officer report is very thorough in detailing the evidence for making the order, and I would hope that you can support that when you vote. That's me done. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Right. Deborah Wilkes wishes to our solicitor wishes to speak before the debate. So, Deborah.
Hello, thank you, Chair. Deborah Wilkes, Legal Officer. I've just been listening to the speakers, and I just wanted to remind members, please, to ignore any comments which have been made which are of a subjective or personal nature, and I'm thinking of, in particular, allegations of cronyism or vexatious evidence providers, and please just consider the evidence in the papers as set out in Annex A, which is a full report. Thank you.
Thank you. Members? Nobody? No take up? Can I come on? I'll speak on this because I used to run over that track, and I did it for more than 30 years. It was nearer 40 years. And I can tell you, I got through there to Netherthorne from the top, from Wolfstones, no problem. And in fact, my wife used to run with me as well. So that's all. I won't say anymore. If there's nobody who wishes to speak, I'd like somebody to propose officer's recommendation. Is that possible? Would somebody like to move it? If not, I'll move it. Is that seconded?
Right, can we just, so we're clear about, can someone just, if you're moving it, can you please actually type in speak, and so we can actually hear you? Move it, please.
Can hear the cat. I've moved it, Richard. I think Councillor Sokol has seconded it.
Yeah, and I think there's Councillor Davis as well, and he wants to speak as well. So if you just want to, yeah.
Did you wish to speak, Councillor Davis?
No, it was fine. I was just responding to Richard saying if somebody needed to say speak in terms of proposing or seconding, but that's already been done, so it's fine.
Right. Right, members, I've got a proposal.
I think Deborah Brooks wants to come back in.
Does Deborah wish to come back?
Sorry, Chair, I just wanted to clarify what the proposal is. It's the officer recommendation with its reasons set out on page 26 of the officer report. I won't read it out in full, but it's on page 26. So effectively, it's to make the order and, if opposed, actively support the confirmation of the order at public inquiry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you just get Councillor Sokol to confirm verbally that he's...
Yes, Councillor Sokol, would you just like to confirm verbally that is what you are seconding?
Yeah, I second, yeah.
As I will if I need to.
Okay.
Right.
Shall we go for the vote?
Yes, all those in favour of officer's recommendation?
I'll go around like we normally do.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So this is obviously to vote for officer recommendations as outlined in the considered report. So we'll go for Councillor Armour.
In favour.
Councillor Bellamy.
Abstain.
Davis.
Yes, in favour.
Councillor Homewood.
Yeah, 4.
Councillor Lee Richards.
Abstain.
Martin.
Andrew, we haven't heard.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, abstain.
Councillor Smith.
Abstain.
Councillor Sokol.
For.
Councillor Allah.
4. But just for confirmation, can I ask, is this option 1 that we're going for, 2.15? Is that what the proposal is?
Yes.
Yes, it's officer recommendation, which is option 2.15 in the considered report. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 4.
And Councillor Lyons.
4.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. The rest have abstained. So officer recommendation has been approved.
Thank you. Thank you, members. Right. We go on then to item 7, which is page 85, which is the Dathan Tools, Mean Lane, Meltham.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. I am Christopher Carroll. I'm the Senior Planning Officer from the Planning Majors and Minerals team, and I'm dealing with this application, which is an outline planning application with all matters reserved other than for access for the erection of residential development at land adjacent to Dathan Tools, Mean Lane, Meltham. The application site consists of 2 rectangular shaped parcels of land that can be found immediately to the north and east of a small factory occupied by a company called Dathan Tool and Gouge, who is also the applicant. Both parcels of land form part of a northwest and southeast slope and measure approximately 0.7 hectares. The red line boundary shows how both parcels of land would be connected through the Barrett's development known as Helm Ridge, currently being constructed, which would eventually connect to the adoptable road at Helm Lane. The Helm Ridge development consists of 88 dwelling houses to the north of the site that was approved in 2014, and another development of 50 dwelling houses to the east of the site that was approved in 2019. These developments, including the site, form part of a housing site allocation, HS 160, and measure 5.5 hectares in total. This aerial image shows the site is on the eastern edge of Meltham. Beyond the housing allocation lies upland countryside in the Greenbelt. Bowling greens, a sports centre, a cricket ground and football pitches can be found to the west of the site's boundary. The site also abuts a public right-of-way to the south, which connects the site to the Broadlands open space and playing field to the west and provides an elongated route to the Meltham Greenway, which lies approximately 180 metres to the south. There are also a number of existing properties associated with Pavilion Way on the opposite side of Mean Lane public footpath. The image on the left is vehicle access on Helm Lane that serves the housing allocation and can be found to the north of the site. The image on the right is Mean Lane and defines the site's southern boundary. It is a public right-of-way as well as an access road that serves Dathan Tool and Gauge works. The image is of the northern field taken from the north at Poppy Gardens. It shows the relationship of the northern parcel of land with the recently approved 50 dwelling scheme on the left. Members should note that enforcement officers have recently been in dialogue with Barratt Homes about this scheme, as they are currently in breach of of not discharging all of their conditions. This is another image of the northern field taken from the lane that serves Meltham Sports and Community Centre. And this is another image of the northern field taken from the lane where you can see the relationship with Dathan Tools work site at the bottom. This image is taken from Mean Lane and shows the southern parcel of land currently being used by Barratt's as a construction compound. It also shows the relationship between the site and the properties at Pavilion Way. This is another image of the southern parcel of land from Mean Lane, which shows the relationship of the site with Dathan Tools and the recently approved 50 dwelling scheme. This slide shows how the site could be indicatively designed with the provision of 20 dwelling houses set around two cul-de-sac arrangements that connect with the neighbouring Barratt development to the east. The indicative site layout plan shows how a mixture of detached and semi-detached dwellings could be accommodated, with 14 dwellings on the northern parcel of land and 6 dwelling houses on the southern parcel of land. Although the site layout plan is indicative, it shows that the houses could be positioned at an adequate separation distance from the dwellings currently being constructed to the east, as well as the existing houses to the north and south. The site is also located in Flood Zone 1 and risk of flooding from all other assessed sources of flooding is considered to be low. At the request of the lead local flood authority, the applicant has now explored all possible surface water drainage options, and it is now accepted by Yorkshire Water and the lead local flood authority that the site's drainage strategy will have to include a pumping station so that surface and foul water can be pumped to this public sewer network. Further details of the proposed drainage strategy, including the details of discharge, would be secured by conditions. If this application was to be approved, the matters of appearance, landscaping and layout, as well as scale, would all be agreed at the reserved matters stage. This will enable detailed comments raised by consultees regarding highway design, waste collection, crime prevention, biodiversity net gain, drainage and flood routing to be properly taken into consideration. Officers considered that the principle of the vehicle access point to facilitate the development is acceptable, and the points are primarily fixed due to the surrounding Barratt's developments. Highways Development Management consider that the additional traffic movements associated with the development and the use of the existing access arrangements with Helm Lane is also acceptable. The pedestrian access with Mean Lane is also welcomed by officers, as it would enable potential future residents and visitors to take advantage of the neighbouring car walking and cycling network. This development will not have an impact on any heritage asset or on any trees worthy of protection. The company noise impact assessment report demonstrates that there are no notable effects of noise from existing and surrounding noise sources. Sports England, who previously objected to the planning application due to its potential impact on Meltham Cricket Club, however, have now removed their objection after the receipt of a ball strike assessment, which which demonstrated no such impact. Therefore, officers recommend that the planning application is approved, subject to agreeing on the necessary planning obligations and conditions outlined in the committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, we have one speaker, Chair.
Hamish.
Gledhill, which I'll try and contact now.
Hello, you've 3 minutes. 2.5 minutes. I'll give you 30 seconds, and then you'll be cut off. Hopefully.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'm
you.
Hamish Gledhill. I'm the planning consultant representing the applicants on this application. As set out in the officer's report, this site forms part of a wider site that has been allocated for housing in the council's local plan. The remainder of the allocated site has been developed or is being developed with, as you've seen on photographs, Barratt Homes building 50 homes immediately to the east of the proposed development site. The total allocation has an indicative capacity of 172 dwellings, and this is the last part of that housing allocation to come forth for planning permission, which is small compared with the rest of the allocation. Members will be aware that this is an outline planning application with matters of appearance, landscaping, layout and scale not for consideration at this time. In terms of access, you've seen the indicative layout showing how the site will be served via 2 entrances through the adjacent Barratt Homes development, and there will be no impact on residents within the vicinity of the site. As set out in the officer's report, the site is in a sustainable location within walking distance of shops and services in Meltham Town Centre, as well as having good access to public transport. You'll see from the officer's report the application has the support of all statutory and non-statutory consultees. I hope that members will agree that the principle of developing this site is acceptable and the means of access is suitable, and you'll support this planning application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right, before we start, Councillor Ola, did you wish to speak? I've got a maximum of 2 minutes to 2.
Yeah, I wish to speak on the application, but you're more than welcome to go first if you want, Chair.
No, not at all. I usually ask for members, but if you wish to speak first, that's no problem.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the application, and I know that the appearance, landscapes, the scale, waste collection are all to be determined at reserved matters, but I would like to see some sort of like detailed reports around the highways, appearance, landscape, scale, waste collection, the floods, because that highway is between Meltham Cricket Club or Sports Centre and the proposed development looks very, very narrow to me. And even with my skill driving, but it'd be nice to see some sort of detailed reports when they come forward, but I'm happy to support it in principle. Thank you.
Perhaps we'll get a mention from, have we got our highways officer?
Not sure. Julia Stedman.
Julia?
So thank you, Chair. Julia Stedman, the group leader in development management. I think what Councillor Ola was just asking then, in terms of if outline permission is granted today, then at the consideration of the reserve matters, where, like you say, things like the scale of the development, the layout, etc., you'd like to see that come forward to members of Huddersfield subcommittee for final determination. Is that what you were asking? Just to clarify.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
Any further speakers? Can I just say, with regard to the cricket matches, I've attended many of the cricket matches quite a few years ago when Meltham were the top team in Yorkshire, nearly at that level. That cricket ball was never hit over in that direction. I can tell you that.
We have got the highways officer here if you just want any clarification on any matters.
No, I think,
okay.
Well, no. Unless members aren't happy with it, I think he got his answer there, and I think he's prepared for the reserve matters.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Chair.
So, is somebody prepared to move the application?
I think I did move it.
Oh, he did? Is that seconded?
I'll second.
Davis.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Now you can go down, Richard. I won't ask them to show because
Yeah.
you're going to.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, so this is a vote to to approve the recommendation as outlined in the considered report. So if we go to Councillor Armour.
Yeah. Some in favour.
Yeah, in favour, yeah. Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Davis.
For.
Councillor Homewood.
For.
Councillor Lee Richards.
Sorry, for.
Councillor Marchington.
For.
Councillor Smith.
For.
Councillor Stockholm.
For.
Councillor Oller.
For.
Councillor Lyon.
For.
That's unanimous, Chair, so obviously recommendation is approved.
Thank you. Right, item 8, now page 111, and it's the Fennybridge Nurseries, Fennybridge, Huddersfield. And we've got
a presentation.
Presentation, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. It's Christopher Carroll presenting this again. This is a change of use application of a plant nursery and retail to a garden centre and the formation of a new access and car parking at Fenner Bridge Nurseries, Brewery Yard, Fenner Bridge. The site occupies an area of approximately 1.25 hectares being accessed via a steep drive off Fenner Lane, which is located to the northeast part of the site. The site is in Greenbelt. As the aerial image shows, the nursery is bounded by mature trees and hedging along the Fenner Lane road frontage. Hedges can be found to the south and west with an open aspect beyond. To the east is a Grade 2 listed residential property, which is separated by a number of trees and bushes. Whilst the site is currently vacant, the site was previously used as a plant nursery since the 1980s. This included wholesaling, distribution with sales to the public. The site accommodates a number of polytunnels, open growing beds, 2 buildings and areas of hard standing. The change of use from plant nursery to a garden centre includes covered retail areas, ancillary cafes with toilets accommodated in one or both of the 2 permanent buildings, retention of open growing beds in the middle of the site, a rationalisation of existing polytunnels, 12 employees, hours of opening including 10 till 6 Monday to Friday and 10 till 6 at weekends. And these images show the existing and proposed access. The application proposes the closure of the existing vehicle access as shown in the left image, whilst the right image shows the location of the new replacement vehicle access point that is to be formed in the northwestern part of the site. The formation of the proposed access from Fenner Lane would dogleg up the existing vegetated embankment to meet in an area of existing hard standing on the predominantly flat site above. Given the topography of the site, which is at higher level than Fenner Lane, this would involve the construction of retaining walls. This is another image showing the site's existing access arrangements. And this site shows that the existing areas of hard standing, which would be used for car parking. The plans submitted show 49 parking spaces located off the new access. Members should note that there has been 2 previous identical applications at this site. They have both been approved as set out in the report, in addition to a certificate of lawfulness for use of part of the land as a plant nursery with retail sales. This part of the wider site constitutes previously developed land. Now, in terms of the assessment, the site is located in the Greenbelt, where in accordance with paragraph 146 of the MPPF, the proposed material change of use needs to be inappropriate in the Greenbelt, provided that the openness of the Greenbelt is preserved and the use does not conflict with the purpose of including land within it. The proposed material change of use represents a similar submission to those in 2018 and 2014, where the applicant stated that the use proposed will utilise existing growing beds and retail sales area will be accommodated within the existing buildings and polytunnels. Car parking to support the change of use is to be accommodated using areas of existing hard standing within the site. As such, officers consider that the change of use proposed from a plant nursery to the garden centre with car parking excluding the new access road would not materially alter the physical character of the site in a spatial or visual capacity, nor harm the openness of the green belt in line with paragraph 146 of the NPPF. Turning to the new access, engineering operations can be considered appropriate development in the green belt, provided they preserve the openness of the green belt and do not conflict with the purposes of including land within it. Significant excavations and retaining structures will be required, which, in the opinion of officers, would have a significant impact upon the appearance of the embankment in the short term. This would constitute inappropriate development within the green belt due to the visual impact this would have on the embankment in the short term and the spatial impact of a road where one does not currently exist. To lessen its effect over time and to help reduce the impact of the openness of the green belt and to mitigate the stark appearance of the retaining structures, it is proposed to incorporate landscaping to either side of the proposed access. The new access would not preserve the openness of the green belt and constitutes inappropriate development. Inappropriate development should not be approved except in very special circumstances. Very special circumstances have been put forward and I had fully set out in the report at paragraph 10.12. But to summarise, taking into account the nature of the recent former use and current state of the site, the very special circumstances are benefit to the rural economy arising from the diversification of the previous use of the site, opportunity to improve the overall appearance of the site through the rationalisation of existing buildings and structures, a vehicular access improvement, and the opportunity to control opening hours and the operation of the business. Officers are of the view that very special circumstances set out are previously considered sufficient and clearly outweigh the potential harm to the green belt, and they remain valid and acceptable to this application, as the proposals being identical to those previously given permission in the 2018 application. The change of use can be supported for the reasons set out in the report, and whilst the engineering operations constitute inappropriate development in the green belt, officers consider that very special circumstances have been demonstrated which clearly outweighs the harm to the green belt by reason of inappropriateness and by any other harm. In terms of impact of the local centres, the change of use to a garden centre would result in a Class E, i.e. commercial, business and services, which being formed on the site. This includes a main town centre use, which was previously Class A1 retail, and this site is out of centre. However, in light of the applicant's statement regarding the nature of the proposed and the existing business, and given the operations of a garden centre are location specific, it was not considered necessary to request a sequential test in this specific case. Specifically, as the ancillary retail and cafe toilets are to be conditions to these areas specified as set out above. This also takes into account the recent planning history, which has previously concluded the proposed use on the site is acceptable. With regards to visual, heritage and residential amenity, the application will result in a visual change that adequately is mitigated and justified in this instance. There will be no impact on the setting of the listed building, and it is separated from the existing residential development, and as such will not result in any harm. Finally, with regards to highways, the highway work submitted in support of the development are identical to those submitted and considered under the 2018 application, which include closing off the existing steep drive and to provide a new access and drive into the site in the northwest part of the site to be served from Fenay Lane. It is considered that the new access would be an improvement in highway safety terms in terms of width, gradient and visibility. Given the proposed development would include an ancillary cafe and retail areas which are likely to intensify the use of the site and vehicle movements to and from the site, the provision of on-site parking has been demonstrated on an indicative car parking layout. Therefore, officers recommend approval subject to the necessary conditions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have one speaker, Chair, Malcolm Sizer, who is speaking in support.
Malcolm, it's the chair of the committee. You know the score. You've 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes. I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it simple. I'm acting on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Shepherd. The site is an established plant nursery and has been vacant since the nurseryman gave up his tenancy. Planning permission was granted in 2018 for change of use to a garden centre, but unfortunately no prospective operator has come forward. The application now before you merely seeks to obtain permission for another 3 years. Policies have changed since the previous application was considered and approved in 2018. Having said that, assessing the proposal in the context of the local plan and the revised NPPF, your officers conclude that the proposal would constitute sustainable development and is acceptable. I urge you to accept their recommendation that permission be granted subject to conditions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Ollers asked to speak.
Yes, Councillor Oller.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I think I'm happy to support this, and I'm happy to move the application based on the special circumstances that have been given as per report. This is an extension to a previous application that's lapsed, if you like. Is that right, Chris?
I think it's Teresa might come.
Teresa, yes.
Good afternoon, councillors. Teresa Harlow, team leader, West Team. In response to Councillor Uller, the application may have lapsed or there may have been a valid commencement. If I can point you to paragraph 4.1 of your papers, the application from 2018, we did have an application to discharge the pre-commencement conditions on that application. That was submitted earlier this year when it became apparent that there'd been no taker for the permission. The pre-commencement conditions have been discharged as set out there. So all the pre-commencement conditions have been discharged, but that was only shortly before or on the day the 2018 application expired. So it's questionable whether a valid commencement was made or not. If there's not, then yes, this seeks to renew basically the planning permission granted in 2018.
Thank you, Teresa.
Right. Councillor Bellamy and then Councillor Armour.
Thank you, Chair. Sheikh's actually asked the question I was going to ask, so I've got an answer. So thank you for that.
Councillor Armour.
Yes, thank you. In some respects, Mr. Chairman, this is a trip down memory lane for me, because this was the very first site visit I attended in 2014. And I thought then, and I'm seeing nothing to change my mind, that it's quite a derelict site at the moment. And I think this development would improve the quality of the greenbelt. I'm not generally in favour of development in greenbelt, but I think this would be an improvement. It would improve the look of the greenbelt, and it would also bring important facilities to the area. So I'm in favour. If it's been moved, I'll second it. If it hasn't been moved, I'll move it. Thank you.
It has been moved and seconded.
Yeah, Councillor moved it.
Yeah.
Right, that's
I don't
fine.
think there are any more. There are no.
Councillor Lee Richards.
Councillor Lee Richards.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a question about traffic movement, really. I mean, I can see that it's a good reuse of the site as it was a nursery to turn it into a garden centre, but just the Fenny Lane is a very busy lane. I can't think of the name of the road it adjoins, but it's always a very difficult junction to get in and out of at most times of the day. So are highways happy that this road is wide enough to allow these I don't know, they call them pantechnicons to deliver to the garden centre? Are highways completely happy with that?
Is Jamie available?
I am here
Jamie?
through. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, through you then, Chair. Thank you. Yes, it's been considered by our highway officers. The access, we would normally ask for it to be a minimum of 4.5 metres wide. I think if we can, I don't know if we can see it on a plan, but I think it measured something like 7 metres, so it's quite capable of having delivery vehicles enter and exit in a forward gear. And I do know that the junction with Fenny Lane, with, I think it's Wakefield Road, is busy in a morning and evening peak. He was come past that way myself when we were in the office, but would imagine the use of a garden centre for the most part wouldn't be at those peak times. So probably the increase in traffic at those busy periods wouldn't be a severe impact enough for us to raise objection. So highways are happy with it in both instances you've raised. Thank you, Chair.
Right. Thank you. Councillor Oller, you wish to speak again?
Sorry, everyone. Just to sort of get the elephant out of the room, if you like. Obviously, this is a lapsed application and it's coming back for an extension of 2 or 3 year permission. Obviously, I accept that we can't control it, but I would hate to feel it be like Groundhog Day for Bill Hammer and we come back in 3 years' time and we're looking for another extension and then we're looking for another. I accept times are very, very difficult and developing and everything else that goes on with it, but I think that this is an exciting site. I think we want to see something that isn't in use brought back into use, and as I say, I do support it, but them are just comments. Thank you.
Yes, I think in principle we all are, but that's up to well, they've got to get permission first, and which I'm hoping they're going to get. So it's been proposed and seconded. All those in, well, it's up to you again.
That's fine, yes. So obviously this was moved by Councillor Oller, seconded by Councillor Armour, and this is for the recommendation to approve as outlined in the considered report.
Yes.
So we start with Councillor Armour.
I'm in favour.
Councillor Bellamy.
For.
Councillor Davis.
For.
Councillor Homewood.
For.
Councillors Lee Richards.
For.
Councillor Martinson.
For.
Councillor Smith.
For.
Councillor Sokol.
For.
Councillor Oller.
For.
Councillor Lyons.
For.
That's unanimous, Chair. So officer recommendation to approve has been granted.
Right, thank you. And finally, item 9, which is page 125, and it's 74 Huddersfield Road, Holmfirth.
Thank you, Chair. I Chris Carroll, is presenting this application again. So this proposal relates to 74 Huddersfield Road, which is a Grade 2 listed mid-terrace property dating to the early to mid 19th century and situated within the Holmfirth Conservation Area. It is presented to committee as the applicant is related to the planning and policy officer. So this is an image showing the front of 74 Huddersfield Road and its roofscape. And this image shows the rear of the building. The applicant proposes to replace 4 stone roofed slates with concrete artificial stone slates with flush vents, along with 2 ridge slates with artificial vented ridge slates. The roof is poorly ventilated due to an impermeable felt being laid in the past. There are no eaves on the front elevation, so through eaves ventilation is not an option, and the most discreet and cost-effective solution has been proposed to reduce condensation built up within the roof space. The proposal will prevent deterioration of the structure and safeguard the listed building, A condition will be imposed to ensure that if the building is re-roofed in the future, a breathable membrane is used and stone slates are reinstated on the property. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
No speakers.
No speakers. Committee? Anybody?
Happy to move it.
Happy to move it? Yeah. Is that seconded? Seconded, Councillor Marchington. Or whichever. Right.
I think Councillor Davis wants to speak.
Oh,
No, it's fine. It's fine. I was just going to propose. So we're fine.
Right.
You
need to go around.
Right, so this is vote to approve as outlined in the considered report. Councillor Armour?
I'm in favour.
Councillor Bellamy?
For.
Councillor Davis?
For.
For.
Sorry, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Lee Richards?
For.
Yeah. Councillor Marchington?
For.
Councillor Smith?
For.
Councillor Sokol?
You're on mute. Councillor Sokol?
Yeah, for.
Yeah. Councillor Allah?
For.
Councillor Lyons?
For.
So that's unanimous. So the application has been approved.
Right, members, that completes today's agenda. Thank you very much for your
Thank you, everyone.
attendance.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.